I don't have much experience with side-scroller shooters, but I am a sucker for indie titles due to how much charisma smaller studios carry by means of making their games stand out. Unlike AAA studios, which are more strict in their development methods due to the need to appeal to a general consumer, indie developers allow themselves to express their visions more freely. As a result, I often find myself basking in joy as I observe how much soul smaller titles have. So tonight, I'm pleased to review a very bright indie gem, Huntdown. Classic 2D arcade shooters like Contra and Metal Slug were way past their prime in terms of popularity ever since the end of the 20th century. Since then, three-dimensional games, open worlds, stunning graphics, and larger mechanical depth in games generally took over. You simply cannot impress an average gamer by having them play an arcade shooter anymore. It's a relic of the past, and that is exactly why Huntdown is so special. Because sometimes you might not want to have the most outstanding, up-to-date technological marvel experience, instead you may strive for a certain feel. In the case of Huntdown, it would be nostalgia and appreciation of how gaming felt back in the day. With the game's 80s VHS aesthetic, appeal to nostalgia is definitely one of the core driving forces behind this title. You are a bounty hunter, working for a mysterious organization looking to bring order to the streets. The entire gameplay loop is centered around you clearing out various types of enemies and beating the boss at the end of every stage. You have 3 playable characters at your disposal. Anaconda with her burst fire pistol and a throwing axe, John Sawyer with his low RPM yet high damage pistol and a boomerang, and Moman with his high RPM pistol and throwing knives. On paper it sounds like the 3 should feel uniquely different gameplay wise, but that's not the case. No matter who you choose, playing the game will generally feel the same. However, what does make each character stand out is the fact that they all actively comment on gameplay events, and it's not just limited to saying a random line when killing someone. The characters react differently to who you kill and by which method.
Collateral is my favorite kind of damage.
Down, boy!
The cheeky lines the bounty hunters have for different situations is the thing that made me want to swap among them. But let's go back to gameplay. It is highly focused on platforming and quick reaction times. The game is not providing you with special abilities, combos, and things of that nature. But the variety of enemy types, gun arsenal, and the constant need for the player to adapt and react is what makes the gameplay loop very satisfying. Aside from your stock equipment of a pistol and a throwable, the game is filled with all types of different weaponry that you are able to pick up as you roam through the crime-ridden streets. Assault rifles of different types, shotguns, SMGs, machine guns, rocket launchers, etc. On top of having throwables like hand grenades, molotovs, you name it. Combine this gun variety with the number of enemy types in the game. Instead of listing all the types, I think it would be more interesting for me to give you an example of encountering variable enemies in one room. Let's say you have a tanky melee type in front of you. Behind them there is a crook with a pistol. On a platform above you, you see one guy with a shotgun. Shooting the tanky guy seems viable as it would take him long to approach you, but you don't do that because the guy behind him can shoot you. So instead you choose to jump on the platform above, shoot the guy with an SMG, jump behind the pistol guy, kill him, and then deal with the tank last. It is this variety that makes the game all about adaptation, with your options also including wall and crate covers as well as quick dash that works similarly to Souls games where you have a short invulnerability window when using it. You can also dash in mid-air, down or diagonally. The game's personality really shines through its bosses, who generally represent a stereotypical version of pop culture characters like wrestlers, roid-raging hockey fans, bikers, and sometimes something as creative as a dual-wielding shotgun martial arts master type motherfucker. All of them corny as hell, throwing cheeky one-liners left and right, exactly how the 80s caricature villains would. Fighting them is a delight, even if you constantly die on harder difficulties. The dynamic gameplay never bores. As you beat the first level, the entire level design structure of the game will be apparent to you. Run through waves of enemies, beat the boss at the end. The variety within this set structure though is what's gonna keep you playing. A large part of this variety is the environment. Having 4 crime factions for your bounty hunter to face means that you will visit locations matching their aesthetic. With hoodlum dolls, you see a chaos-ridden city with its abandoned buildings and graffiti everywhere. And with the number 1 suspect, you are pretty much visiting Japantown from Cyberpunk 2077. The game doesn't take too long to beat, so you won't have time to get tired of it. This is your classic several hours campaign length. I would assume you could beat it in a couple of hours on easy/normal difficulty. I played on hard and it took me a little over 6 hours to complete. In terms of replayability, beating the game on hard unlocks the badass difficulty where you die in one hit, so if you want to test your skills, there's that. There's an arcade mode which cuts out the story bits from the game and puts you straight into action, where you have to get points by killing enemies as quickly as you can and getting the least damage. Overall, I can't recommend Huntdown enough. If you get into the game as an old head, you will get nostalgia overdose. If you are a hardcore gamer, your skills will be put to the test. And if you are a casual, then Huntdown will give you some quality pastime as you wait for the next big AAA release.